Okay, so since I'm going into the veterinary field, I wanted to choose somebody who is very passionate about animals. And one of the first people that came to mind was Steve Irwin. I was a huge crocodile hunter fan when I was growing up, and I watched other Animal Planet shows too, but nobody really stood out to me as much as Steve Irwin did. He was very excited, you could tell he loved what he did, and he made an impact on me. You could tell how passionate he was, and as a viewer that makes you really care about those animals that he's talking about. And I think we need more people like him on TV, because I don't think enough people care about animals or the environment. Let's see. This is Steve Irwin. I'm sure you all know him. You'll recognize his trademark khaki outfit, and his catchphrase was "crikey." He was born in Australia, Victoria, Australia, February 22nd, 1962. And something I thought was really interesting was that he had no formal training. He didn't have a scientific degree. He grew up with animals and worked with them every day and learned as he went. His parents owned a small park. It was called Biography Reptile and Fauna Park. They had snakes and crocodiles and kangaroos, and it later expanded to 4 acres, and it was then called Queensland Reptile and Fauna Park. So, like I said, he literally grew up there at the park with these animals. At the age of 9, he would go out with his father. They would capture crocodiles from around boat docks, and they would relocate them to locations where it wasn't as populated with people, and it would keep the hunters from killing them. He took over for his parents in 1991. He met Terry Raines there, who was a tourist at the time, and they married in June of 1992. At its peak, instead of a honeymoon, they filmed crocodiles, and part of that film ended up being incorporated into the show The Crocodile Hunter. The show originally was aired in Australia, and then 4 years later, it was picked up by Animal Planet and aired in the US. At its peak, it was aired in over 200 countries, and they were careful not to let the extra money from the filming or for the merchandise change them in any way. They always put the animals first, and most of the money they received went right back to conservation, so it didn't change their views. In 1998, the park was renamed the Australia Zoo. Today it's 15,000 acres. 1,500 acres, and employs over 500 staff. So 1,500 is a huge difference from the 2 acres that it started off as. Over his career, he faced some criticism. He was very over the top, and I think some people thought he wasn't genuine, and I think the stunts that he did, a lot of people thought were just for the fame, for the money, and thought that he exploited the animals in the process. And then in 2004, he was feeding crocodiles and holding his infant son at the same time, and he was accused of child endangering, which he was never charged for. Steve Irwin passed away September 6th, 2006. He was snorkeling off the Great Barrier Reef, and he was hit in the chest by the barb of a stingray. He died from cardiac arrest shortly after. His vision and passion for wildlife continues on with his family. He has a daughter named Bindi. She was born in 1998, and she was actually named for one of the favorite crocodiles that are at the park. She had her own TV show called Bindi the Jungle Girl, which she won an Emmy for. She co-created books which were released in 2011, and she was in 2 movies. He also has a son named Robert. He's 10 years old. He was named after Steve and Terry's fathers. He and his sister have both won Teen Choice Awards. He has his own online series called Robert's Real Life Adventures, which is on Australian Zoo TV, and he's also created a book series. So finally, if anyone's interested in helping continue the conservation work that he started, the Australian Zoo has a foundation called Wildlife Warriors, and you can go to wildlifewarriors.org if you'd like to donate.